It's a real head scratcher, this one. Can you figure it out? Now then, we are the Don't Tell Show. We make and review gritty social realist films. We put out a new video every Monday, so if that sounds like your sort of thing, then hit the subscribe button and we'll see you there. So like I just said, we usually cover gritty, social realist, neo-realist, slice of life kind of films, but every now and again we get sent something special and we just have to cover it. Due is a 2020 post-apocalyptic thriller written and directed by Kevin Pickering. So the first time I watched this film, I didn't really get it all. There's bits I got, there's bits that I didn't, but I felt like I needed to go back and watch it again. And it just made me think of how many films I've seen that I didn't get and I just didn't care at all to revisit. And how many films I've revisited it over and over again and found new perspectives and noticed new things every time. And it just made me wonder, what is it that makes you go back and revisit something? Like, how much does a film have to give you to make you go back and reevaluate it, or to try and find more there, and which films just repel you? I don't really know, but if you have any thoughts on it, just stick them in the comments below. This was definitely one that I wanted to revisit. The plot follows two Scottish men as they sort of potter about in this wilderness of what seems like a post-apocalyptic world. They have some sort of direction or goal in mind, which is unclear at the beginning and sort of unclear at the end. Like I said, it gave me enough to want to go back and try and figure it out. Because there are clues scattered throughout the film through these sort of strange voiceovers that are sort of like they sound like broadcasts almost. There's symbolism in nearly every shot, seems to imply something that I don't quite get, but I have ideas about. And then the sort of the interaction between the two main characters who were brilliantly acted. The whole thing made me think of Charlie Kaufman. I'm Thinking of Ending Things film that people seem to get very angry about and say it was a film about nothing and it didn't do this and it didn't do that. And I think that film and this film both to me felt like they're refreshing because they aren't sending a message. There isn't, like, neither film has sort of one problem that's going to be solved by the end of the running time, which is how most Hollywood films work. And I think once you sort of let go of looking for that one thing and just engage with everything as you go in, the more free you are and the more you'll get out of it. I think that's what this film was trying to do.
The two things, they've never changed.
It isn't pushing one message, it's sort of it's connecting a lot of social, political, psychological interest areas and problems and tying them all together with this one string, or finding this one string that runs through them all in a sort of Adam Curtis kind of way. And I guess that string is sort of contemporary society. So like the masks they wear are made out of newspapers and it's black and white. I mean, is that implying that we're sort of masked by this sort of skewed view of the world that the media creates and we can't be free until we take the masks off? Does the black and white on the print imply sort of a binary view of the world that just can't be reconciled with the complexities of human emotions and the human experience in general? They go around, they're scavenging for things and they're picking up these trinkets along the way that seem like just more distractions from what it really is to be human, or what it is to sort of find yourself and not act in the sort of bad faith that those media-made masks can make. Because the masks can be used to hide from yourself, but they're also like that view. The view of other people is that you won't actually get to know someone. You'll just accept them as the stereotype that they are in the printed media. I don't even know. I don't have answers. These are just what I enjoyed about the film is that it's stimulating these ideas in me that they may or may not be in the film, but I don't know. This is what I was sort of getting from it. There seemed to be some stuff in there about men always destroying women building. There's a need for some sort of saviour, which I don't really agree that we need a saviour. I think it's us that need to fix the problems that we have. We can't be just sat around waiting for someone to come along like Jesus or Donald Trump or Russell Brand.
Yeah, bit of cargo. I am. Some from ruins of ancient worship. Please.
The two men could represent the two parts of the political spectrum. They're constantly at each other's throats for no real reason. They're not working towards, well, they're kind of working towards something, but they get lost along the way and they disagree. And one of them speaks about love in a way that just sounds like duty to me, or again bad faith. He doesn't say love in a way that sounds loving, and he doesn't act in a way that seems loving. It just seems that the two sides are both so locked into their sort of ideological constraints that they can't just drop them and be human and find solutions that you don't need to take a side to find a solution. A solution is a solution. But again, none of this could be in the film. I don't know. This is just what it's done to me. Look what it's done to me. And that's what I love about the film, is that it stimulated me that much to make me want to revisit it. But along with all this cerebral posturing that I'm doing here, I think the film also works because, like, the sort of closest comparison I can think of is Waiting for Godot.
Appalled. Appalled. Funny? Nothing.
And I think both films are sort of absurd, and both films have a lot of humour in them. Both films cover a lot of ground without ever telling you what they're about. And I think it's that humour that keeps you going back as well. That it's not, you're not being lectured. You're not being lectured to. You're not being given simple answers, and you're being treated as an adult. You know, they're both pieces that respect you as a viewer. I love that about it, and I love that it's just, you know, it's playful like Beckett, and it just takes you along for a ride through its absurdist eyes, and what eyes it has. And the cinematography in it is stunning, and I think the thing that's most notable initially about the cinematography in general is that there's this obsession with there's an obsession with cinematography where it has to be 4K, 6K, 8K or whatever. It has to be sort of the cleanest image going, and I don't know why it needs it. I don't know why you need to see someone's pause to understand this or follow a story, and there's something weird about that very crisp look that. Well, it's not even weird. It just looks like Coronation Street. It's not interesting. The look of this film, though, it has texture, it has grain, it has a real feel to it. It's like the difference between practical effects and CGI. You're like, you know that the CGI is not real and it doesn't look real. It doesn't really do anything for you. But when you see something that you know is practically in the set and people could go up and touch it, for some reason it gives you more and it makes it feel real. That's sort of the difference between the Coronation Street cinematography and something like this that has a real feel to it. And it's also because they're out in the wilderness as well, that it is that you can feel the muck under your fingernails and stuff like that with that look. So it has that very tactile 70s look to it. It just looks alive. But it doesn't just stick to that one. Like, it has the sort of wide shots that would be the sort of 70s gritty grainy thing there. But it mixes it up a bit, which this is what links in with, I think, the film having multiple messages and multiple themes. They're all tied together, but the way that it's shot, it switches from static sort of wide shots to extreme shaky close-ups, and the coloration changes a bit, and it gives you these different sort of timelines and different perspectives, and this mindset of everything being a bit chaotic and not quite right, and sort of tying together but not quite tying together, and it's really stimulating to see that. It reminded me of Natural Born Killers a bit, but I think there's much more substance here, because Natural Born Killers was just sort of showing you what the inside of Tarantino's head looks like. Just a load of pop culture references popping in and out and not really amounting to that much. I think this film does it a lot better. I think this is more effective than that. You know, it's trying to do something a bit deeper. Not that I dislike Natural Born Killers. I think it's a really entertaining and good film. But this film was much more stimulating. You know, Natural Born Killers was what I liked when it came out when I was 14 or something. This is something that I'd like more when I want to revisit, and I want to find some more, and I want more answers now that I'm an adult.
He's travelled a long way. And he's tired.
Just the choice of mixing the shots up like that and the editing like that it's something that could quite easily have gone wrong and been a complete mess and been incoherent, but it just all works. It's because they're so confident with it and they're so committed to it. They've clearly worked hard and they've made it all work, and you know, I'm saying it's coherent, but I still don't get it, but I get that was what they were trying for. You have to acknowledge that. Sometimes people get confused about that, whether watch a film, say like Batman and Robin, and be like, oh, I didn't like that because I only like Frank Miller's Batman. That's generally people's view. If you watch that wanting a sort of a silly, quiet or Papa Smack 40s Batman, then you'll enjoy it. You know, you have to acknowledge what they were actually trying to do, and this is what they were trying to do with this. So Due, an experimental post-apocalyptic film that just works totally. If you like Beckett, if you like post-apocalyptic films, if you like stimulating films that with humour, it is dark humour, then you'll love this film. As always, the link will be below. Drop us a comment if you watched it. I'm Nick, this is the Don't Tell Show, and I'll be back next Monday. See you then.